Welcome everyone to this Distinguished Alumni Award webinar. My name is Dr. Ellen Tanis-Awad and I'm your host for this evening's event. I would just like to tell you first a little bit about the award. It's the highest honor awarded by the Alumni Association Board of Directors. And there are two chosen people every year to receive the award. Those people come from a body of 36,000 plus alumni. The award recognizes alumni who have demonstrated exceptional achievement in their chosen profession and have made a positive impact in the community. A couple details about the webinar tonight. There is a chat box feature at the bottom of your screen, and you can use those for comments or messages or encouragement for Laura, our guest tonight, or our speaker, our award winner. Or you can also use the Q&A feature that's located at the bottom. The Q&A feature can be used to submit a question at any point during Laura's talk if you have a question that you would like her to hopefully answer at the end. Okay, on to our main event. It's my honor to introduce Laura Plefka McGregor from the class of 1998. Laura was a member of the Delta Phi sorority. She was involved in the Pull. She was an English major at Hope College. Laura went on to be the founder and director of Hope Scarves, which is an organization that connects people fighting cancer using scarves and stories, as well as raising funds for cancer research. Laura was diagnosed with breast cancer at the age of 30 when she was pregnant with her son. And she has now been fighting stage 4 metastatic breast cancer after being in remission for 7 years. I just want you to know that I remember Laura when she was a student and she was the vice president of the Delta Phi sorority. And today I sit here honored to introduce her because we have reconnected several times over the years because of Hope Scarves and because of people important in our lives who have fought cancer. And I'm just so grateful for the work that she does and so honored to be here tonight introducing her. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Laura to share her presentation, Turning Heartbreak into Hope. Laura, over to you.
All right. Thank you, Ellen. I'm so honored to be here tonight and to speak to all of you, though I wish we were gathered in a place where I could see your faces and I could hug the people that I know. It is quite an honor to be awarded the Distinguished Alumni Award of this year. A lot of my friends gave me a really hard time about that they weren't sure if they knew all of the information they needed to make this decision. But I just am so honored because Hope College has a special place in my heart and certainly an instrumental chapter in my life in helping me become the woman I am today. So I would like to thank Hope College, the Alumni Board, and all of those involved in this award for selecting me. I'd also like to thank Abby Rieg, who I found out was the nominator. Who I just am so honored that she took the time to write a nomination for me, and it really means a lot. I am pretty casual in my format, so I hope tonight will be more like friends sitting down, having coffee and catching up, or new acquaintances getting to know each other. And probably my dogs will bark or my children will come in needing something along the way. So thank you for being here tonight and spending time to learn more about my story, Hope Scarves, and the work that I do. I am going to share my screen. No judging on how many things I have open on my desktop. Let's see here. Okay, hopefully that works. Everybody sees it. I am the founder of Hope Scarves and also an initiative called the Hopeful Life Project. Obviously also a graduate of Hope Scarves. I mean, a graduate of Hope College. And so you can see there's a pretty clear theme here already. In my life, hope has always been an anchor for me. And what's funny is I now live in Louisville, Kentucky, and many people have not heard of Hope College, though I do talk about it often with them. And so when the word kind of spread that I was getting this award and we did a little publicity around it at Hope Scarves, people were like, you seriously went to Hope College? They found that incredibly ironic. But for those who don't know Hope College, I think it seems funny that I am basically my title at Hope Scarves is Hope Slinger. So I also went to Hope College, which is fitting. So I would like to just tell you a story and about what I've experienced and how it has shaped my life and how I have turned heartbreak into hope. I was diagnosed with breast cancer when I was 30 years old and 7 months pregnant. I was at the kind of top of my game, you might say. I was had a great career. I was healthy. I actually ran 3 miles the morning I went into my OBGYN and just shared some discomfort in my left breast that later was determined to be breast cancer. I endured chemotherapy and while I was pregnant. So it was a really trying time for our young family. We definitely felt like we lived in an alternative reality, but we were determined. We were surrounded by family and friends and felt that my body was strong enough to face this disease. And we took it one day at a time with hope. My son Bennett was born healthy and happy at full term. This is a picture on his birthday. And he had 4 rounds of Adriamycin Cytoxan with me while he was in utero. And one of the things that brought a smile to our face and is kind of a lasting joke for our family is that Adriamycin Cytoxan, for those of you who don't know, is a bright red chemo drug. It is often called the Red Devil. And he came out with bright red hair. And to this day, here's a picture of him when he was little. Truly lives up to the theme of our little Red Devil. Today, he is 13 and a happy, healthy teenager. Really, a reminder daily about the perseverance and the determination our young family had. We truly lived an alternative reality for that year that I was in treatment. We often felt like we were just kind of like operating in a fog, but we're so grounded in our hope and our determination, our love and our family. I went through chemo, radiation, a double mastectomy, reconstructive surgery, and was determined at the end of that to be cancer-free. We lived for the light at the end of the tunnel and putting cancer behind us. When I was first going through my chemotherapy treatment, I received a scarf from this woman here. Her name is Kelly, and she is a friend of a friend. I had not met her in person, but she had just faced cancer as a 28-year-old, and she sent me her scarves. And it meant so much to me as a young woman, young mom, facing cancer, that just knowing this other young woman had done it helped me believe that I could too. And I wore Kelly's scarves. I wore this scarf right here as one of my favorites throughout my treatment, and just found strength in knowing every time I put that scarf on, I felt her love and encouragement. And when I finished treatment, I asked her for her address so I could send the scarves back to her. But she said, just find somebody else who can use them, Laura. And so I took them to a conference with the Young Survival Coalition, where I met a young mom named Roberta. And in this picture here, I gave all of those scarves to Roberta. And I realized in that moment how much those scarves meant not only to me to receive them and to wear them and to feel Kelly's strength and to know her story, but when I was ready, how healing it was for me to give them to Roberta and for me to tell her my story and pass along my strength to her, and how much it helped me make beauty out of the pain that our family had experienced over the past year. From that experience, from that moment, literally that day, I started talking about this idea of creating a nonprofit where we would essentially do just that. We would do what I had experienced, collect scarves and stories from people who had faced cancer and pass them on to other people in treatment. My whole career has been in nonprofit. I went on and got a master's degree from Grand Valley in master's in public administration, and worked in nonprofit my whole career. So I had a lot of experience fundraising and strategic planning and, communications work in nonprofit, but I had never started one from scratch. So I set off to write a business plan in my spare bedroom with my 2-year-old and 6-year-old volunteers by my side. And this is a picture of the day I got my 501c3 status to start Hope Scarves. The mission of Hope Scarves is to support people facing cancer through scarves, stories, and research. So I'd like to share this short 3-minute video that explains the work that we do at Hope Scarves.
My world came crashing down around me. I was terrified.
Kind of like one of those movies where everything is just swirling and going really fast and you're trying to grasp what is happening.
For whatever reason, hope was my word from the start. I have saved some of the emails I sent originally after I was diagnosed, and in those emails I say, we're going to focus on hope. Hope Scarves was born of this idea to capture the stories of women who have had cancer and their scarves and pass them along to people facing cancer. And it's simple, it's simple intentionally so that we can just pass along this little bit of hope from one woman to another.
The radiologist came in and I was just, there by myself, and he showed me on the screen and said, here, look at this spot here. He said, I believe you have breast cancer, and just kind of blurted it out. So of course, that was, they say your life changes in an instant, and that was my instant.
It's scary and it's frightening, but that if we can inject that little bit of hope and that little bit of encouragement, that piece of it's maybe a little easier. And that as they go through their treatment, each time they put that hope scarf on, they feel the support and the encouragement of the women that have worn it before them.
So this is the scarf I received from Hope Scarves, and actually it's one that Laura wore as well, and 2 other women got their stories in my package.
We wrap the scarf right around the story, and we package it in a happy package that does not look overly cancery or pink or ribbony or anything like that. It's designed to be a happy package that will just make somebody smile.
I definitely feel differently about this scarf than the others. It's almost like it has special powers. I feel, I feel, it might sound kind of cheesy, but I do. I feel like when I wear it, I feel empowered. I feel like, a little more uplifted than some of the other scarves I just went and bought. I have attached a special meaning with this scarf.
The bottom line is, you can do this. I did this. It's hard, it's scary, but you can do this.
When I write my story, I want to share my personal story, but I also want to, help provide some encouraging words to other women. And I want to do the same to tell folks that I can't talk to in person, hang in there. You're stronger than you think you are.
my world came crashing.
Oops. Okay, now trying to get it to the next slide. Okay. So that is the story of Hope Scarves and the work that we do as a nonprofit organization. We are based in Louisville, Kentucky, which is where our family and I currently live. And the way Hope Scarves works is scarves are shared in 3 ways. So we have a personal request program where you can request a Hope scarf for yourself if you're facing any type of cancer. They are free and you don't have to lose your hair. You can wear a Hope scarf around your neck or wrap it around you like a hug during treatment. We send about 75 personal requests a week to people facing cancer all around the world. You can make a request online at hopescarves.org. That's our website. The second way that Hope Scarves are shared is through our gift requests, which was really important to me because so many people would ask, how can I support someone I care about who's going through treatment? And so we created a gift scarf program as a way to send a Hope scarf to someone you know facing cancer, which is a practical and also inspiring gift to share with a loved one. And you can put a personal message inside the package to let them know who it's from and that you're thinking of them. You can make a donation to honor the recipient. We've received everything from $5 to $1,000 to send gift scarves to cancer patients. And the third way we share scarves is through Hope Scarves partnership programs. We work with hospitals and cancer support organizations around the country to share scarves directly with patients. So instead of patients having to find us online or see a flyer and reach out to us, we have the scarves right there where they're already getting support. So in resource centers and infusion labs and support groups, we right now have 47 partnerships in 18 states. And our partnership program is a really fun way for people to support Hope Scarves in their community, because all of our partnership programs are underwritten either by a private donor, by a corporation, by a family, maybe wanting to honor a loved one. They are all unique and all different. And they range in size from 10 scarves to 600 scarves. And it's just a really creative way to get more people involved with helping bring scarves to patients. We measure our success with all kinds of metrics and outcomes measurements and things like that as we look to use our donor donations in the best way possible and make an impact. But I always say it comes really down to the ones, to helping each person feel beautiful, supported, connected, and hopeful during their treatment. This is a quote from one of our Hope Scarf recipients that I keep with me. It says, "I really love this scarf. It gave me strength to wake up every day and fight." We also support cancer survivors by, in the same way that I felt so inspired to start Hope Scarves by giving my scarves to Roberta and reflecting and healing through the experience of supporting her. We work with the survivor community to help keep our scarf collection and our story collection robust to meet our growing requests. So we work with cancer survivors to tell their stories and do scarf drives, donate their scarves. You do not have to have gotten a Hope scarf to donate your story or to share your story or to donate scarves. We are constantly collecting scarves and stories and sending them out. So that's a great way to support Hope Scarves. If you know someone who's faced cancer, that they might consider sharing their words of encouragement and their story with Hope Scarves, or if you'd like to do a scarf drive to help us keep our scarf collection able to keep up with the growing demand for requests. Some impact about our organization: we have sent over 17,000 Hope Scarves to people facing over 90 different types of cancer. A lot of times people think we're a breast cancer organization, but we support people facing all types of cancer. Our oldest recipient is 97. Our youngest is just 6 months old. And we have collected over 2,000 survivor stories. to help share words of encouragement and stories with patients. We have sent Hope Scarves to every state in the country and 26 other countries. So we are an international nonprofit organization. The third pillar of our work, scarves, stories, and research. Research is a later added part of our mission, but something that I am very, very proud of, because as a nonprofit, we recognized that we could do better work if we expanded beyond our original mission of scarves and stories. Scarves and stories are beautiful, they're inspiring, they're very practical, but they are not going to save anyone's life. And so we started the Metastatic Breast Cancer Research Fund to also raise money for stage 4 metastatic breast cancer. And to date, we have raised $700,000, and we have a match to all of the money that we raise. So in total, we've invested $1.4 million since we started our research fund in 2015. And we specifically fund metastatic breast cancer research. Unfortunately, this type of research only receives about 2 to 5% of funds raised for breast cancer. And metastatic breast cancer is, for those of you who maybe don't know, because it's often misunderstood and we're not clearly really, really clearly understood by people, is that stage 1 through 3 of breast cancer means this cancer has remained in your breast or in the nearby lymph nodes. Stage 4 means it's spread beyond your breast, typically to the bone, lungs, brain, and liver. And when it becomes stage 4, there is no cure, and you have an average life expectancy of 3 years. The 5-year survival rate for metastatic breast cancer is just 27% and is the leading cause of death for women under the age of 50. This became an incredibly frustrating and important topic for us at Hope Scarves and for me personally, when in 2014, I thought was low back pain from running and doing a lot of trail running was determined to be metastatic breast cancer. I had a fist-sized tumor in my sacrum that a biopsy showed was breast cancer. So it is not bone cancer when it spreads, it's still breast cancer. And that set me basically on the track of every cancer survivor's worst nightmare, facing the unknown and the uncertainty of metastatic disease. It was 7 years after my original diagnosis, so it was 2014. I have been very fortunate that my cancer has responded to treatments that I've been on. And so my first line of treatment, I had a 5-year durable stability where I did not have any progression, and I was able to live and love and just live my life to the fullest for a very long time. Unfortunately, now I am in a point of more uncertainty, and I will talk about that in a little bit later in the presentation. But we are really proud of our commitment to metastatic breast cancer research. And when you give to the Metastatic Breast Cancer Research Fund at Hope Scarves, 100% of the funds go to research. So we don't take any of the money for administrative, for Scarves and Story program. We commit 100% of what you give to research. When I was thinking back on Hope College's influence in who I am and how I came to be the person that I am today, I reflected a lot on the amazing relationships and friends and memories I have, but I also really thought about 4 kind of key things that I take away from my Hope College experience. And the first was just the idea that I could use my life to make a difference. And that is something that had been instilled in me by my parents, that I felt very committed to volunteerism and to giving back to my community. But it was definitely reinforced at Hope when I had a lot of opportunities to work collectively to do good in our community. And I became a big sister through the Big Sister, Big Brothers program on campus. And actually the little girl that I mentored all through college attended my wedding, and was just a really neat way to realize how I could make a difference in someone's life. Additionally, I feel like I got some really tangible skills that I used to build a successful career. When I think back, I think of Mr. Popak's public presentations and how he helped me recognize the importance of large, purposeful gestures. And I think about Dr. Dandavati's political science classes, where we learned to articulate our ideas, but more importantly, we learned how important it was to listen and consider where other people are coming from. I also learned how to believe in myself and to dream big at Hope College. One example of that is in my writing classes with Professor Riddle, where he helped me see the beauty. He helped me see the beauty in my writing that I was very intimidated by. I was always comparing myself to other people, but his persistence and creative guidance helped build my own confidence as a writer. And I'm not really sure if my poems were any good as an 18-year-old, but he helped me believe they were, which helped me keep writing and revising and learning and growing and giving myself confidence. But most of all, what I take away from my Hope College experience is the community of support that I felt at Hope. I felt that I truly belonged as a student to this community while I was on campus, whether it was with the pole team or with the Delphi sorority or with my friends. There was just so many places that I felt connected. And I feel like that support and love and encouragement has continued on well beyond my years on campus. And that sense of community and connection really hasn't wavered since 1998. A couple examples of that I just want to share with you all is that Hope College friends show up, and they have shown up for me in tremendous ways. Here's a picture for 6 years. Hope College alumni have run in the Hope Scarves Outrunning Cancer event, raising over $40,000 and traveling down to Louisville to run in the Kentucky Derby Marathon. And for many years, they were the top fundraiser, pushing other fundraisers to raise more and setting challenges and just making it so much fun. And in 2019, the same group of amazing friends hosted the first Colors of Courage Michigan event at Kelly Tierman Templeton's house. And this is an event that we had held in Louisville, but I really wanted to expand to Michigan and to our donor base there. And so this group of women hosted an event that included over 250 guests, and we raised over $150,000 and launched 3 partnership programs in Michigan, as well as supported our research fund. Here's some pictures from this amazing event. I think maybe I have like a really sweet spot in my heart because we just haven't had any events for so long, and this night was magical. It was like a Hope College reunion. A couple things I just want to point out is that our friends, the Sigmas, came in like full force and bought like 2 tables, and just there was so much love from not just all the Delphis that came, but the Sigmas and so many other Greek organizations and friends from our time at Hope. Additionally, a group of actives, current Hope College students, served as our greeters and our welcome table. So in this picture on the top right is a picture of all the alumni with all the current students. And it was also Peter Stursma, who I believe is the football coach. He was our MC. So there was just like a ton of Hope College there, and it warmed my heart and felt so good. Another amazing story of connection and commitment from the Hope College community is from Jenny Wilson Farmer. She has raised nearly $10,000 to start Hope Scarves programs at Duke University, providing over 180 cancer patients with Hope Scarves, and is working on expanding the Hope Scarves program to UNC. And this is all just because she followed along and heard our story and connected and wanted to see what she could do. And it's just amazing to see how that connection of Hope College is still so strong all across the country. One piece that I am incredibly touched by is that I didn't know Rhonda, pictured here, at Hope. She was a little older than me, but our Hope College connection brought us together. When she was diagnosed with metastatic breast cancer, some of our mutual friends got her in touch with me so that she could talk to somebody facing the same disease that she was facing. And we became dear friends and shared a passion for advocacy and raising money for research, while also helping support the Hope Scarves program in Muskegon, where she was in treatment. And we were close. I sat with her towards the end of her life. She died in 2020, which was, in the midst of this pandemic, a really hard time to lose someone. But I know how much that relationship meant and that connection. And again, it all came back to Hope College for us to be able to be friends and to support each other through her experience. Additionally, I have a podcast called A Hopeful Life, and an upcoming episode is a conversation with a current professor there at Hope College, Professor Van Tongeren, and his wife, where we talk about their new book, The Courage to Suffer. And so much of this relates to what I am facing as a metastatic breast cancer patient. And I had just a beautiful, deep, authentic conversation with them. And you'll be able to hear it soon on my podcast, which is called A Hopeful Life, which you can follow on iTunes or Spotify if you're into podcasts. So now I'm at a point in my life where I am redefining hope. I am facing metastatic disease for the 7.5 year. So it's not anything new to live in the uncertainty and the unknown and the stress of not being able to find a cure. But unfortunately, the cancer has mutated and is no longer responding to treatments. And so I am in a bit of a precarious spot, even more so, where I have a drain that I had surgically installed into my side that drains the fluid from my lung to help me breathe. And I'm at a point of trying to make some treatment decisions and really having to redefine hope for me. And so I do what, anyone who's facing terminal cancer and raising a family and running a nonprofit organization, I started another initiative because life is short and I have a lot of energy and ideas. And while I can, I want to give everything I can to this experience of being human. And so I started an initiative called My Hopeful Life. And it's an extension of Hope Scarves that allows me to lean into my personal experience. And what's been amazing in doing so is how my story and my experience puts words to other people's experience, and how my example and my vulnerability helps other people see how they can face whatever they're facing as well. And it has been such a life-giving experience to me to be able to have these conversations and relationships with people who are also suffering and facing whatever challenge they are, whatever hard spot they're in, and just helping create a safe place to talk about living a hopeful life. And so this initiative includes a blog, a podcast, used to be speaking engagements, but obviously that's not happening except for on the Zoom, and a film. So I'd like to take a minute now and share this short film. It's about 7 minutes, and it shares what my hopeful life is all about. Hopefully, let's see.
I've always believed that we each have a story inside of us. I always kept a journal as I was growing up. I think my favorite was this little purple journal, had jelly beans on it and a lock, pink pages inside. And I would write my own story every night.
Are you going to tell us about your doll collection on the shelf there?
I'm sure it was, which boy I thought was cute, or which, what my friends and I did that day, and, what my parents did to annoy me, or, something. But I was writing my story as a young girl.
Did you go to the inn, Lara?
Do you have a flashlight?
In the car. You see anything?
I'm not going. Your stories are what you leave behind and passed down by generations. They're also what defines us. My husband and I had both found careers that we loved. We were healthy. We were always able to feed the side of us that loved to be active.
This is what we're seeing.
We're at the top of the world. I had saw the way life was going to unfold for us. I had written our story of how I expected our life to go. Our life was just amazing. But certainly I did not see this chapter coming. Growing up on this beautiful lake, I spent a lot of time sailing and swimming and in the water. But we had a chemical company on our lake that has since been recognized as being some of the top polluters in the world. And they were dumping toxic chemicals into the lake. But we didn't know. All of that was kind of hidden from all the residents here. There had already been several young people that I knew in our small town that had been diagnosed with cancer. So you can kind of connect the dots. I was 7 months pregnant with our second child, and I had some discomfort in my left breast. I had a biopsy done, and a couple days later, I was sitting in a hair salon with my 2-year-old on my lap, getting his blonde curls trimmed, and my phone rang. I didn't recognize the number, so I answered it. And on the other line was the surgeon, and he told me, "You have breast cancer." I said, I'm going to need to go. And I just picked him up off my lap and I went in the bathroom of the salon. And I just remember just crumpling to the floor. And he took his 2 pudgy little hands and he put them on my cheeks and he said, "Mama, you have a boo-boo?" I just felt the world was just spinning. I had a lumpectomy right away because they felt like they wanted to get the cancer out, but it was not successful because they could not get clear margins. And so I started chemotherapy. I got this drug called Adriamycin Cytoxin. And it's so toxic. The nurses apply it with plastic gloves and they have to push it really slowly. Everything was important to me to have this pregnancy be as healthy as possible for our child. And here I am just pumping toxic chemicals directly into my veins. I was so scared as a young mom, what this was going to mean for him. Put him through all of that treatment, how was he going to be healthy? Bennett and I had 4 rounds of chemo together. But he was born healthy and, really such a gift in the midst of all of the scariness of facing cancer and the unknown that laid before us. We took this beautiful picture the day he was born, just nose to nose. We take that picture every year on his birthday. When you go through cancer treatment, if you have a treatment that causes you to lose your hair, you not only lose your hair, you also often lose your eyebrows and your eyelashes. It's really hard to feel like yourself. Shortly after I was diagnosed, a friend of a friend sent me a box of scarves and a note that said, "You can do this." I had never met Kelly, but I had this immediate connection to someone else who had faced cancer. Each time I wore Kelly's scarves, I felt this extra courage and strength and love. I think the fact that they had come from somebody else, that someone had taken the time to write me these words of encouragement and pass the scarves on to me just made them so special. They helped me feel a little more confident and beautiful. When I finished treatment and my hair started growing back, I asked her if I could send them back to her. And she said, "Just find somebody else who could use them." I met a young woman named Roberta, and I gave her the scarves. These scarves, though just this piece of fabric, really carried Kelly's strength and my strength. I was so touched by the sense of connection, the sense of peace. I thought, I'm going to start a nonprofit organization, and we're going to call it Hope Scarves. I said, I'm going to collect scarves and stories from people who have had cancer, and then I'm going to help them pass them on to others in treatment. And then that person wears it, and when she's done, she can write her story, and then it'll go on to someone else with 2 stories. And then it'll go on and on like a really amazing chain letter. And we'll just have scarves circling the globe. Idea the power of turning heartbreak into hope. Things were going great for our organization. And now I beat cancer.
Have a good one, Lara.
We returned to a life that we loved. My cancer story was living this amazing life as a cancer survivor. And then the bottom dropped out. I developed some low back pain. The MRI revealed a fist-sized tumor in my sacrum. It was metastatic breast cancer, which means cancer had spread beyond my breast. I mean, the reality was metastatic breast cancer has a life expectancy of 2 to 3 years. I was never going to beat cancer. I had to redefine what hope meant for me. I had to redefine it as living life over cancer. I realized I can't change the fact that I have cancer. But I can control how I react, and how I tell the story. I don't want the story to turn dark and sad and full of fear and anxiety and worry and stress and pain. That's where this story often goes for people. And, while my life certainly has those elements, I choose to live a great story. Look at Mommy. I choose to celebrate the laughter and the love and the friendship and embrace every day, living intentionally in every moment. And when I'm with family and friends, I'm truly so deeply with them. And when I hug friends, I hold on for just 1 or 2 seconds longer. I just love, being together and doing things that bring us joy, making memories. I want to write my own story. I'm not letting cancer write my story.
Okay. So wipe your tears away. This is what I am working on as my legacy and as the truest expression of what is in my heart, which is this idea of living a great story and living a hopeful life. And so I would like to share with you some of the key practices of living a hopeful life that I have learned through conversations, my own experience, and just this opportunity of creating this amazing community of living joyfully, regardless of the outcome. The first element, the first kind of idea that I'd like to share, maybe. Oh, no. Is not to live in the perceived future. So this is something that I have worked really, really hard on, grounding myself in today. It's very easy for me to get caught up in the what ifs and the hows and the whens and the uncertainty of tomorrow, especially when I think about how is my cancer going to progress? What is this going to look like? When am I going to lose my hair again? How am I going to feel? What if this treatment doesn't work? What will it be like when I die? How are my children going to handle losing their mom? How can I be solely responsible for causing them so much pain? I can get really bogged down and really sad in a dark place if I live in the perceived future. But instead, I work very hard on grounding myself in today. And I believe that infinity exists in the present, that if we are truly embracing what is right before us, that's what really matters. And that's how we find the greatest joys of living a hopeful life. Secondly, hope is not contingent. And this is something that I learned by experience, that I was placing my hope in a scan being clear, or my blood work showing my cancer counts were going down, or something working, the problem being solved, that somehow hope was bigger or brighter when things worked out, when the problem was solved, when the fear went away. And I have realized that hope is not contingent. There is hope, and it shines regardless of whether the scan shows progression or not. It is not contingent on the outcome or the circumstance. I have also learned to what I call live in the and. And what I mean by that is that there are very few times in life that are complete absolutes, where it's entirely just one thing. I am sick and well. I am broken and whole. I went for a walk today in nature and was inspired by the bright blue sky, and also incredibly frustrated by not being able to breathe. I am cheering on my son at soccer and crying behind my sunglasses as I think about the pain that I am causing him through this stupid cancer experience. I'm a cancer patient and a social entrepreneur. I live in the and. I allow for both. I don't let either pull me down or really raise me too far up. There's this place that's the and that is kind of where I find myself, and I allow for it. Next is this idea that I love to tell people about. I hope if you take something practical away from tonight's talk, it is this idea of act, don't ask. And what I mean by that is please, 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 please do not ever again say the words to someone who is facing a challenge. Do not say, let me know how I can help. Because that, my friends, puts the burden of asking for help on the person who is already suffering. And also, it's really, really, really hard to ask for help. And so they, I guarantee, are not keeping a list of all the people who said, let me know how I can help, nor are they probably going to have the nerve to call and ask for help. So instead, I have some very tangible examples of how you can act instead of ask. Here's some examples. I'm planting my pots. Can I come plant yours too? My children wrecked my car this week. I love when I get it clean. Can I come get your car and have it cleaned as well? Or there's a Starbucks gift card in your mailbox. The idea of, or here's one other one. I'm at Target. Unless I hear from you, I am just going to pick you up some of the staples I always need. I'm getting you milk, bread, cereal, toilet paper, and wine. You get the point. Think about what are just some practical things that are going to lighten the load a little bit for somebody struggling, and just act instead of asking. And most of all, the founding principle behind my hopeful life and the work that I am doing with this project is this idea that I have learned to articulate as this. I hold both fear and pain in the same hand at the same time. My life is made up of immense suffering and immense happiness. Not because of the absence of pain, not because the problem is solved, not because a miracle cure is around the corner, but because I have chosen to live a great story. I have chosen to hold both joy and pain in the same hand at the same time, regardless of what comes next. One of my favorite quotes is by Mary Oliver. She says, doesn't everyone, let me get it so I make sure I say it right. She says, doesn't everyone die at last and too soon? Tell me, what is it you plan to do with your one wild and precious life? And that is words that I live by. How do I live a great story and find joy and love in the midst of the heartache and the pain? So thank you so much for listening to my story tonight and learning more about Hope Scarves if I have one shameless plug, because I am at the executive director of Hope Scarves, I always like to let people know how they can get involved. If you want to get involved with Hope Scarves and support me or support Hope Scarves, we have an event coming up May 22nd and 23rd called Outliving Cancer. It's going to be an amazing weekend where you basically do any activity that brings you joy. So you can outrun, out bike, out garden, out swim, out swing, out dance, out paint, any activity. And you raise or donate a minimum of $50 to Hope Scarves to participate. And you can also create a fundraising page and ask other people to support you and set a fundraising goal. Our top fundraiser last year raised a little over $9,000. And this is a big event that we do every year to support metastatic breast cancer research and the work of Hope Scarves. So if you liked what you heard today and you'd like to get involved, you can go to hopescarves.org and learn more about outliving cancer, learn more about all of the work that we do. And My Hopeful Life is where you can find my blog and my podcast and the film and all of the work that I'm doing in my own personal story. You can find that at myhopefullife.org. So I'm going to leave this with you. The bravest thing of all is always hope.
Laura, thank you so much for everything that you've shared tonight. It's inspirational to hear how you have shown strength and wisdom throughout your life and your journey. We do have a couple of questions, and if people have other questions, they can put them in the Q&A box. One, if you could just reiterate, if someone has wants to become a business partner to Hope Scarves, what should they do? How can they connect?
Absolutely. So the easiest way to reach out to us to start a conversation is to email hello@hopescarves.org. And I monitor that along with our partnership director, Anna Laura, and we can help start the conversation about sponsoring a partnership program or whatever questions you have to get involved with Hope Scarves or anything you're interested in learning more about for engagement.
Great. Another question that you received during the course of this is what would your best advice be for someone who's supporting a friend who's on the cancer journey?
Mm-hmm. I think just show up. You don't have to know the perfect thing to say. You're not going to understand, and your role isn't to understand or say the right thing. But oftentimes when you're in cancer treatment, you feel like you live in this alternative reality and everybody else is just continuing on with other things that once were important to you that you no longer are a part of, and you feel left behind, especially if it's, I think of all ages, but I know for me as a young mom, I felt really isolated. And so just don't forget about them. Reach out, send a card, send a cute pair of earrings, drop off a Starbucks gift card, like whatever just will make them know you're thinking about them, I think is really, really important. And obviously send them a Hope scarf.
Yes, that's so great. I know that I've sent some Hope scarves to friends along the way, and I just, again, thank you for starting that organization built out of your own organization or own experience. Sorry. I think I'm getting one more question. Or maybe not. I think you got a message in the chat, Laura, but for anyone who has tuned in tonight, you will also get Laura's presentation in a recording after the fact. So I know that I was taking notes because that's what I do, Laura. Everything that you said about living a hopeful life just feels so inspirational, grounded, and good. And I, again, just want to thank you for sharing your journey and sharing your wisdom with us tonight. For all of those who are watching, if you would like to see the next webinar of the Distinguished Alumni Award recipient, Dr. Deborah Fuller from the class of 1987. Her presentation is starting at 7:30. The link for that was just dropped in the chat. And Dr. Fuller is a prestigious figure in the field of vaccine development, which really feels like it hits home in a totally different way amidst a global pandemic. So, Laura, thank you again for sharing, and thank you to everybody who showed up tonight for this webinar. Take care and be safe.
Thank you.